Experience the joy of watching your friends and family's faces light up when you feed them wild game you harvested and made into delicious sausages. Or meat you barbecue and grill with the finest seasonings available. Visit our friends at waltons.com to find everything you need to turn wild game into tasty meat snacks or spice up your barbecue with new flavors and seasonings. With over 500 seasonings to choose from, there's something that everyone will love. They even have step-by-step videos and how-to articles at Meatgistics to help you go from animal to edible. Use coupon Rangers15 at checkout to save 15% on your first order at waltons.com. Waltons, everything but the meat.
This is Taylor Hearn of the Texas Rangers, and you listen to the Ranger Report podcast.
Whoa, Ranger Report. Oh, Ranger Report. If you want the inside scoop, listen to the Ranger Report. All right, yeah, here we go.
This is the Ranger Report podcast. News, insights, predictions, interviews, and information about the Texas Rangers from the major leagues to the minor leagues. And now, here are your hosts, Ben Dieter and CJ Berryman.
Welcome to the Ranger Report podcast, brought to you by Dallas Sports Nation and presented by Waltons. As always, thank you guys for joining us. I am Ben Dieter. You can find me on Twitter at BDieter75.
I am CJ Berryman. You can find me at CJB_RR on the Twitter. Hey, I said it right this time instead of Twitbox thingy or twit thingy or whatever, Twit machine.
All right, and we are happy today to be joined by Robyn Hearn. Robyn, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, guys.
Yes, ma'am. It's good to have you on. And I bet Go ahead, CJ.
I want to say one thing about Robyn. I asked her to get on the podcast or if she would like to get on the podcast, and it took less than a minute. And she responded, "Hit," and I'm paraphrasing, Robyn. Hell yeah, I want to get on the podcast. Excited about it. Let's go. I was like, wow. Usually it's I send somebody a message and say, hey, would you like to come on our podcast and eat a sandwich, take a nap, eat dinner, wake up the next morning, and maybe I get a response back. No, not with you. It was like within the minute. It's like, yep, let's go.
Yeah, my mom taught me and my brother to be pretty on our feet with stuff like that, because I work in a time sensitive industry, so got to get the stuff quickly.
Yep. All right. Well, people that don't know you, most people do. You're very active on Twitter. Don't know that you are Taylor Hearn's sister, and everyone that listens to our podcast knows who Taylor is. We had him on. So what was the Hearn household like growing up? Were you and Taylor very competitive?
You know what? In a sense, yes and no. We weren't competitive in sports. Taylor was always the natural born athlete. I had the smarts, but we were just competitive in a sense of probably trying to get our parents' attention and everything like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I have a little sister. We had the same thing. Had the same problem.
I have an older brother, and I always tried to beat him out and be better than him.
Yeah, I didn't have to, because Taylor has a mean arm, so he kind of wins at everything.
Yeah, but so how cool is it?
He's thrown some stuff at me.
So you were his target practice to become a professional major league pitcher, apparently.
Kind of. I think I was part of the reason why he's in the big leagues now.
There you go. So how cool was it for you and your family when Taylor got traded to the Rangers and to see his development into what he is now and there at home in Texas?
You know what? Just a backstory about that. We, for the longest, were kind of like, if he comes to the Rangers, great. But if he doesn't, we'd be happy with that too. But once he called us and told us that he was traded to the Rangers, we freaked out. And it's been the best thing ever. My parents and I now get to see him play at home, and it just feels weird, but it feels natural. And it's been great to watch Taylor go up through the ranks. He started with Frisco and then made his way up to Nashville, which was the AAA affiliate at the time. And then now he's with the big leagues, and it's just been a whirlwind of fun.
I know you were in New York for a while. How nice is it that Taylor's in Texas and you're back in Texas now covering sports?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, when I was in New York, it was different. Sorry, I'm getting ready for work.
No, that's all good.
When I was in New York, it was different. Sorry. Yeah, I'm in the dressing room right now. So when I was in New York, it was totally different, but now it's fun because people in Wichita Falls, which is where I am, they know who Taylor is. So if they're like Robyn Hearn, Taylor Hearn, are you guys related in some sense? And I'm like, yeah, actually, he's my neighbor. He's my neighbor for 20 something years. And then I felt like, no, he's my brother.
Oh, that is hilarious. So we didn't know this until we had Taylor on, but we saw the videos of him with Jose Trevino and Brock Holt and their roping, and we thought they were, it was just a joke and Taylor trying to show him how to do it. We did not know that y'all came from a roping family. So do you rope?
No. That is definitely the men in my family. They do all that stuff. All the guys on my dad's side are cat ropers. And I just like to sit and look pretty. My mom had me dressed really nice for the rodeos. So
did you put any bows in your hair or anything like that? We
would mess around Of course. I had the ruffles, I had the cowgirl boots, I had all that. But for the most part, if I had a rope in my hand, my dad is usually telling me, "You're doing this wrong."
Well, I'm from Amarillo area, Cowtown, Hereford, Texas, and I could never rope either because I was trying to throw the rope like a baseball. And so I don't know how Taylor can figure that out, the difference between the two, because I was like trying to throw a baseball and it wasn't working.
Yeah, well, luckily for Taylor, he ropes right-handed because that's how everybody in my family does it. And so he just follows suit. So he ropes right-handed, which is kind of strange because he's definitely very left-hand dominant. Yeah. But yeah, he's a righty when it comes to being on a horse.
Okay.
I feel the pain there. I'm left-handed, but I play golf right-handed, and I play the guitar, and I play that normal right-handed as well, just because my dad played it right-handed. So I learned to play it right-handed. So I know it's kind of weird. Sometimes us lefties can just switch around for certain things. So I didn't know Taylor roped right-handed though.
Yeah, it's something that I guess not a lot of people know about him, but it's just because everybody in my family literally just ropes right-handed.
Yeah.
So I guess he just copied his dad and his uncles.
Well, it's kind of weird for me because I'm right-handed, right-footed, right everything. But then when I bat or swing a golf club, I'm left-handed.
That's interesting. Interesting.
I think that just makes
Yeah, we all knew that already, Ben. Damn, you got to point out the obvious.
All right.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So Robyn, what made you want to get into sports media and especially the production side of sports media?
You know what? It's going to be a very obvious answer because of Taylor. I always tell people, growing up and getting to see his story and his testimony made me want to tell sports stories, and just seeing who he is as a person and how he's grown in the game and how he's grown as a pitcher and just in, his knowledge of baseball. It's been great watching that. And that's one of my favorite stories to tell. And then I just realized there are a lot of kids and athletes that have similar or even more different stories than he does.
Yeah, and I agree completely. I mean, I got my sports journalism degree at WT, West Texas A&M University, go Buffs. And I mean, you dig in, if you really want to be a really good sports journalist, you dig into some stories. And I mean, I've had some personal stories. I mean, I wrote a feature when I was covering Colleen sports, and a kid that lost his mother 30 minutes before they were going to the season opening football game. And he went and played. And it's just having that trust in the, not just the family, but in the player and in the coach to have you get in there and get that inside information when the time is right. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, Robyn, when the time is right.
Yeah.
You can't rush in there right away, but, and just write that story. And I mean, it just, those stories really just, you obviously make them sports stories, but also tell the story, and you got to do it the right way. And so it's kind of an art form that a lot of people think is so easy, but it is not.
No, it's definitely very hard because, like you said, you want to tell the story the right way, but you also want to be respectful.
Exactly.
And that's one thing that for me, I always try to do is be respectful of the player, the coach, whoever I'm interviewing, and telling their story, but telling it how they want to tell it. Now, there are some difficult stories that I do have to tell that I don't personally want to tell, but I have to.
Right.
But for the most part, you can find a way to tell the story, kind of get it done, but also letting everybody know, hey, this is what happened. It's how it happened. It's what I have to do.
Yeah, it becomes our job to kind of keep it level and not say anything that's going to make it over the top. You know what I mean? And get too much attention. So it's a hard balance you have to find, but you also have to do your job. And so you're doing a very good job at that. And I just want to ask you, how have you enjoyed your time in Wichita Falls, which I love that town. I do. I really do.
It's been a lot of fun. So far, I've been here for about a month, going to go on 2 months, which is crazy. I'm deep in high school basketball and college basketball right now. So that's been fun to be able to do. But it's been great. I mean, I'm just happy to be back in Texas and be a little bit closer to home and be around the sports that I know and love.
So what sports did you play growing up?
Like I said, Taylor was a sporty one. So I played volleyball in middle school, and I ran track in middle school and high school. And I played tennis from the 5th grade up until high school. But that's pretty much it. I was a cheerleader and a dancer. I couldn't do sports for the life of me. I just didn't want to get sweaty.
Yeah.
So you were the prissy girl is what I'm hearing.
Guilty.
All right. Hey, nothing wrong with that at all. I have 2 daughters and both of them are prissy. So I got no problem with that whatsoever. So
I had to take one dig at her, just one.
It's okay.
Right,
I have an older brother, so I understand.
So Taylor can't talk about it because of what's going on, but I'm sure you've kept up with a little bit about the whole lockout. What kind of what's your opinion on what's going on right now with the MLB lockout?
Well, they just actually ended their conversations for today, which is it's annoying. And as somebody who, even though I have a family member who is in on everything, as somebody who's just a fan of the game of baseball, it's very difficult to watch grown men not be able to sit down and have a conversation.
Bingo.
And it just sucks because there's money involved, but then there's also other things like the draft, the lottery, all that other stuff. And it's just like, how come we cannot be civilized without you guys getting mad at each other and having a conversation? So I'm for baseball happening. That's where I am. I want to stay neutral, but something's got to give. Both sides are going to have to give on something.
Mm-hmm. Nope, I agree. And from what I've seen, Taylor seems to be getting his work kind of all around high schools and whatnot, and working with kids. And he's just one example of many other teams' respective 40-man rosters. And I mean, how difficult do you think it is, and how difficult it is for Taylor, for these guys, when they can't even approach the team facilities? So they got to find other ways to work out.
Yeah. And because he just went to DeSoto the other day. So he's been doing that, which I'm very happy for. And I think it helps with him being with the hometown team that he is going to these Dallas-Fort Worth schools. I hate it for him because I know right now he would be in Surprise, and we would be super excited for him to be in spring training. And my parents and I usually try to go, but because I have a real job now, I can't always go.
Well, we were planning on going to Surprise too. Except when the lockout happened, we just couldn't get the sponsors. We can't get any sponsors because the lockout's happening. They're not going to sponsor something that might not happen. I mean, nobody knows. So it's not just screwing over the players, which I understand how bad that is, but it's screwing over fans that have bought tickets and media members like ourselves that are trying to get there. And we don't know when we can or cannot go. So we just pushed it off to next year. So it's a mess, and I hate that it's happening. And
trust me, I hate it too. As somebody who's on the outside looking in, but kind of has a little bird's eye view through my brother, It sucks. It really does suck because I want to help, but there's nothing I can do. And 2, baseball is all we know, and it's all Taylor's known. And to not have baseball sucks.
Yeah, when Super Bowl ends is when I start turning over to baseball, and I'm so excited because spring training comes right around the corner. Pitchers, catchers report, and now it's like, what? Yeah.
I know. Now I have to watch basketball. Unfortunately, nothing against basketball. It's a fun sport, but Taylor's more of a MFFL than I am. So
okay.
I used to love watching basketball in the 90s when it was actually when they would get physical and they would try. And then watching it today, it's kind of lazy. If that's that's a good term for it. Nobody plays defense.
No, it's terrible. Everybody's trying to shoot threes.
Yep.
Yeah, no. So I love watching college basketball where they actually care and they're running zones and they're switch up to man and they're running actual offenses and not just being lazy out there. So yeah, college basketball is where I'm at right now. And the Daytona 500. That was pretty cool.
I'm not a race guy.
Neither am I. It's okay.
All right. I'm weird. I know.
All right. So I know
you're not weird.
I know you're back in Texas now. So what is Robyn Hearn's go-to at Whataburger?
Okay, so I just like getting the chicken strips and a vanilla shake, and I'm good because their vanilla shakes are delicious. I would put them up there because I think Brahms is number one because they use real ice cream.
Brahms burgers are pretty good too.
See, people sleep on Brahms food. They think it's just because it's like Brahms shakes and ice cream. I'm like, the food is actually pretty good.
It is.
Because Taylor can chow down on those things all day.
Robyn Hearn, thank you very much for joining us and good luck. Enjoy Wichita Falls and enjoy this wonderful weather that goes from 50 degrees low to 50 degrees high.
I feel so much more like I'm at home now. So thank you.
Appreciate it, Robyn. Take care.
No problem.
All right, everybody. That was Robyn Hearn, News Channel 6 in Wichita Falls, and also Taylor Hearn's sister. So great to have her on. CJ, good job of getting us that one.
Hey, no problem. I do what I do.
Yeah, that was a good interview. A lot of fun. She had a lot of good opinions, a lot of good things to say. And I liked her take on the lockout too. Just, it's bad for everybody. And she's right. It's bad for fans. It's bad for players. It's bad for owners. And it's bad for baseball. And I figured we would take a few minutes here at the end to talk about how bad it is for baseball right now, because it feels like they're just sort of inching along slowly and terribly in this lockout discussions right now. And they set themselves a deadline for March 1st, which is quickly approaching.
Yep, it's right around the corner, and they're moving at Herbert the pervert pace.
Yeah, it's not.
If y'all watch Family Guy, y'all get that joke.
I knew exactly what you were talking about.
So, it's just I don't know. At some point, they're going to have to meet in the middle, and usually deadlines make deals, and they are. They're not even moving anywhere close to the demands of one another. Not even close. It's just incremental, just very, very, very small increments. And it's gotten me worried because baseball does not need this. And I'll be honest, with a lot of people that I know, they're diehard Rangers fans and baseball fans. They did not watch any baseball last year because of what Rob Manfred did with the whole Atlanta thing. They boycotted baseball. I just don't want to see that carry over into a season where this next season is going to be big for baseball. Yeah, it's going to be huge. This might be make or break. I just feel that way personally. Those of us that love the sport, we don't want to see this happen. It's just,
yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you completely. I think, my take on it is just, it's sad more than anything else. I'm at the point now where I'm not angry anymore. I'm not frustrated. Well, I am frustrated, but I'm not angry.
I'm tired. I'm tired.
That's exactly right. I'm sad and I'm tired. And I just want, we should be talking about, who's getting ready, who's throwing good, who's looking good in practice so far, who showed
who they signed or traded for.
Exactly. Yeah. We should be talking about that. We shouldn't be talking about these guys meeting in a room, inching along, pretending to do stuff when they're not actually getting anything accomplished. Really irritating and really frustrating. And I'm just tired of talking about it, to be honest with you.
Oh, well, that's why I haven't done over the past 2 weeks my case of the Mondays.
Yeah. Because
I've got nothing else to talk about.
Mondays.
Yeah. Well, I've got nothing else to talk about. Yeah. There's no updates. We can come up with some weird stuff to come up, off the cuff, but people are being turned off right now.
Yeah. And I'm working on my article for the opening day 2023 roster just for fun, just to have something to do, because there's no way to talk about the 2022 one right now. So I just jumped ahead a year and tried to project, but you have no clue because there's no 2022 roster to talk about right now.
No. And I want to dig in and dive into what the roster looks like now. And
we can't do that.
Just thinking about, writing about something else that you or I have not written about. I'm like, it just gives me a headache. So I got to step away from it and just wait.
If you go back and listen to our podcast from a year ago, I mean, we were 40 minutes, just solid talk about spring training, what's going on, player development, who we thought we were going to make it. I mean, that's my favorite spring training, my favorite time to do a podcast, because all this projection and conjecture and figuring out who's going to do what and who's going to be where. And we're always,
and there's some excitement there.
And we're always 90% wrong, which makes it even more fun. But just
we own up to it though.
Yeah. I mean, I said, there's no way Culberson makes the team last spring training. And I was completely wrong on that one. Lots of stuff, but it's just, that's so fun to talk about. And people love to listen to it too. I mean, I love to listen to Jeff and John talk about it. I love to listen to, the other Rangers podcasts talk about it, and just regular podcasts in general to talk about baseball this time of year. That's what I listen to. I mean, I'm such a nerd. I don't listen to music in my truck. I listen to other people talk about baseball.
I do the same thing.
Yeah, I love it, man. When I'm driving anywhere, even at home, sitting in my chair, I'll just pop it on. But it's frustrating more than anything else. And speaking of frustrating, I wanted to hit this before we got off tonight too. Josh Jung had surgery today.
Yep. He's going to be out at least 6 months.
Yeah. They said it'll be August before at all, if he comes back this year.
And if he comes back, he'll be DHing. He'll likely be in AAA.
Like what Sam Huff did last year when he came back, he basically DH'd and played first in the minor leagues. And now the big question now is, will Jung make his major league debut this year, or will he be DHing in the minors? I say minors.
I don't think he'll be making his debut in IKF. And I've heard, we got so much talk about IKF. Chev is asking us bunches of questions about that to us and Jeff and John and everyone, just trying to figure out how to trade IKF away, which his trade value is really high, but it seems like they really need him right now. No, with a situation like this, I mean, he's got 2 years of control. IKF is what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
2 years of control still. He's a Gold Glove third baseman. Just plug him in internally. Don't go out and trade assets for somebody else. It's a season where you're not planning on being a major contender. So I don't think you need to go out and trade for, anybody, or try to sign anybody when you can fill it internally. He's a Gold Glove third baseman, and who knows, with a lineup around him, which he didn't have the past 2 years, who knows what he could do offensively. His approach might change. All that. I mean, there's so many factors that go into it. So assuming that IKF is what he is over the past 2 seasons, I think is fool's gold. And I just think fill those internally. You got control over him. There's no reason, unless you get blown away by a trade.
Yeah.
Unless you get blown away.
And if that's the case, then trade him.
Yeah, for sure. And I just don't.
I just don't see the Rangers getting blown away in a trade for IKF. His bat's not good enough. He's a great defender. I mean, super utility is perfect for him right now. I mean, if he got every day at shortstop for a team for years, I think he would be a good shortstop, but it's just his bat is not typical. His bat's a little under what normal shortstops do.
Right. But that's what my contention too, is because he was having to try to be a guy that had to get on base all the time. Yeah. So he wasn't trying to hit for power. He was trying to get on base as much as he could. Now with some protection in the lineup, maybe that changes, and that might actually drive his value up. So by the time Jung is ready to come up, okay, say July comes along and IKF has 12 homers and he's hitting 300, which he's had 200 hits a couple times in his career, Gold Glove third baseman. And so he's showing some pop and when he's protected in the lineup. And that's why I'm thinking the same thing about Nathaniel Lowe. But back to IKF, that could be a huge trade piece. Yeah. And then for the rest of the season, say, the Rangers are not contenders or whatever, you can put Ibanez as their third base until Jung gets ready, which I don't plan on Jung playing at all in the majors, and I don't plan on him playing in the field at all. He's probably going to DH in AAA. That's just my thought. So, and you have some in-house candidates that can fill in that role too. So I just think right now, fill these spots with guys within the organization. Don't go out, Davis Wenzel, if he stays healthy, who knows?
Justin Foscue has already been mentioned to possibly move into third.
Yep. So, there's a lot of internal candidates in which giving them some exposure. And if they do well, bigger trade pieces.
And by the way, speaking of what you and John talked about the other day and not being competitors, but loving each other, the Texas Rangers baseball podcast had Justin Foscue and Davis Wenzel on us, our last couple of guests. So you guys should go give that a listen. Sorry.
All right.
I know you and John, going at each other, but both those interviews were great though.
Oh yeah, no, they did a great job, and they always do. And we just poke fun at them, and they poke fun at us.
That's the joy. Well,
I poke fun at John. John pokes fun at me.
John talked about possibly going live tonight because of the tweets going back and forth. So we'll see.
Well, I haven't.
This will be out on Thursday.
I know my phone's blowing up.
Yeah, so mine too. This will be out on Thursday morning, but we may wind up going live on Twitter later on Wednesday night. So we'll see what happens.
You know what?
Well, I mean, if John starts it or Alex, like happened last time, I slept through the last one, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was trying to tell you, hey man,
you guys are all on there like having a blast, and I was sleeping away, man. I didn't. I woke up. That's woke up like an hour into it, and I was like, oh look, I could have been part of that.
Well, we'll see what happens there. So
yeah, John had mentioned on Twitter. I just went and looked at him while you were talking because I'm a good co-host and I wasn't paying attention to you. I was looking at my phone. So
that's why you're the best.
That's what all good radio people do.
That's why you're the best, bro.
Whenever someone else is talking, you're always thinking about what you're going to say next and not thinking about what the other person's saying.
That's why this relationship, Maverick and Goose, baby. Yeah. That's how it works.
Some of the worst questions I've ever heard asked were from people that you could tell were looking at their phone while the person was talking because they didn't hear a word they said. I've heard some bad ones on radio over the years.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I try not to do that, but I've heard some bad ones.
Well, Brad Sham called me out on one.
He did call you out on one.
Did you not hear anything that I just said?
Did you not hear anything that I just said?
I was like, wait a minute. I didn't ask the question right. I didn't say awesome. That. Oh, speaking of promoting them, also promoting ourselves, Emily Jones and Brad Sham were our last two guests. So, and now of course Robyn Hearn on this one, but go back and listen, man. I mean, we've got some great ones. We've had Matt Hicks, we've had Eric Nadell, we've had Jared Sandler on. I mean,
just go back and look over the last year at what we've done. And if you're new to the podcast, thank you, first of all. But second of all, we try to bring you a variety of things. Abraham Alexander, who I'm going to get to see in a couple of weeks, just to rub it into.
I'm so jealous
of Dallas, and I cannot wait for that show.
You see him in the Black Pumas. Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm gonna. There's gonna be a lot of Instagram lives during that. So,
well, I guess I'll have to download Instagram so I can watch your ass.
Well, I can also just stream it to you.
Okay, yeah, do that instead.
Yeah, I'll do that, and then I can put stuff on Instagram later.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll get you so you can see some of it, so you can enjoy. I think it's going to be a blast. But anyway, go back and listen. We've done musicians, we've done now, sports journalists, of course, Halleck, the BFF. So you guys want to go back and listen, and there's still stuff to talk about. We still are filling the podcast with, I think, some great interviews and some great guests during all this lockout stuff, and then minor league spring training is about to start, so we'll probably start hitting up a lot of minor league players again and bringing those to you. And I'm trying to think of who we're going to get to be our first two-time minor league prospect to be on the show. So
I'm already working on one.
See, Jason, I knew you were probably thinking about that because we haven't had any repeat players. We've had repeat journalists, but not repeat players. So we got to figure out who's going to be our first repeat Ranger Report podcast prospect.
Surprise, surprise, all you listeners, and Ben. I am working on that.
All right, good. I'm glad to hear it. I kind of figured you might be. So,
rest for the wicked. Actually, there is rest for the wicked.
Yeah, sometimes.
Whatever.
Even the wicked have to sleep every once in a while.
All right.
Right? Because the Rob Manfred has to sleep, right? Every once in a while.
Oh.
All right. And on that note, we will talk to you guys on the next one.
Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Ranger Report podcast. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, and at therangerreport.com.